Welcome back, everybody, to Ready, Set, Rewatch, where we are boldly going to continue our journey watching Star Trek, the original series. I'm Skylar, and this is my friend Daniel.
Hello.
It is time, once and for all, to talk about Tribbles.
First and only.
Actually, that might not even be true, because depending on how far we go, Tribbles do come back, actually.
Oh yeah, but not in TOS, right?
No, not in TOS, and it's weird. I'm gonna leave it at that. But that's okay. Today we're talking about two episodes: The Trouble with Tribbles and the fuck was the other one called? Hang on.
The Gamesters of the Triskelion.
That's right, Gamesters of Triskelion. Arena Part 2, kind of in a way.
Kind of.
Uh,
And may I say,
mhm.
not to get ahead of ourselves. Finally, some
Yes.
food.
Oh, I think
Finally,
we were
some
like,
food.
were we like four illogicals in a row?
It's got to be something like that because the last couple episodes have been what? Jack the Ripper, Moby Dick
Oh yeah.
2. I don't even remember. But I think you're right. It feels like there's been 4, maybe 5 episodes in a row that like weren't terrible, but we're just like, yeah, here we are. We're doing some stuff.
I think I gave a half-hearted engage to the Deadly Years, but other than that, yeah, it's been. And then even in between that, so we got Journey to Babel, and then before that, more illogicals. Season two's been rough a little bit.
Yeah, it started so strong, and then
Yeah, it did. It did.
and then we just didn't continue the speed on that one.
It's all right. We got some stuff to talk about this time. So let's jump into it with everybody's favorite thing ever in the whole Star Trek universe. There might be some sarcasm in there.
Okay.
The Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh, this does have me questioning. Do people general fan base questions? Because I'm not really part of the fan base. This is basically the first Star Trek I've watched. Do people not like the Tribbles?
No, I don't think people have anything against Tribbles per se. I think this is kind of thought as like a comedy episode. That's how I remembered it.
Okay.
It's like, and it is silly. There's
There's
silliness
definitely
in
some
it,
comedy in it. Yeah.
but like there's some other just normal good Trek in here too.
Mhm.
So
We'll see. We'll see. So Trouble with Tribbles starts on the Enterprise. It's on its way to a deep space station called K7 to help with a planetary claims dispute. Kirk and Spock are using the opportunity to quiz Chekhov about the area, and they ask him, for some reason, how far it is to the closest Klingon outpost. And he says that it's close enough to smell, which Spock does not
Oh.
appreciate because he does not understand a joke.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't appreciate racism.
It's possible. It's possible.
I did write in my notes. The first note of the episode: Spock doesn't like Chekhov.
To be fair, I don't know how I feel about Chekhov yet. I don't hate him, but I don't know that I love him.
His hair's better.
It's definitely better. We're
It's
getting
not good. It's
It's
still it's a '60s. I think we established in real time. Walter Koenig was like around 30-ish. Like he's not
yeah.
super old, but everybody's hair in the '60s was old and bad, and he's boyishly sweeping it to the side, even though he's
Yeah.
a grown ass man.
He's our age now, and he's basically dressed up like a little page boy,
Hmm.
which is not
Mhm.
great, but I get it. Spock then explains the situation that this episode's going to be about, basically. He says, the Federation and the Klingons have a dispute over who should own a planet that's called Sherman's Planet, so surely it belongs to Sherman.
No.
Oops. Because of the Organian Treaty, which was set up in an episode we already saw, Errand of Mercy, the planet will go to whoever can most efficiently develop the planet's resources, which feels very open-ended, and because I feel like that could be either what it ends up being here is like, oh, they're going to try and plant plants on it, but
Mhm.
just as easily that sentence could be, that brief could be filled by, we're going to strip mine this bitch. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a weird
We
way to
have
say.
we have to remember that the Federation is infinitely better than modern real life U.S. politics.
True.
So they're not. We can't assume the evil thing from them. They're the good guys.
I guess that's fair. Yeah. But just as they start talking about this, Uhura calls over to say K7 has issued a priority 1 alert, meaning that they are evidently under attack. So the Enterprise crew goes into red alert and springs into action, and we get our intro to the episode.
Those dang dirty Klingons are at it again. We think.
Probably. When they get to K7, they immediately notice that there is no attack at all. And when Kirk calls
What
over
the hell?
the man in charge, Lurie, because Larry was the wrong vowel, I guess, tells him that they should beam over so that he can explain the situation. So Kirk and Spock do. And when they get there, a stuffed shirt little weasel boy
I also wrote stuffed shirts. That's awesome.
called Niles Barris says that he ordered it. So Kirk asks what gives him the authority, and some other loser whose name I didn't write down here but will actually be important later. I think his name's Arn. Yes, his name's Arn. Says that he is the undersecretary in charge of planet development, the planetary development project for Sherman's planet. Which, and I'll say, undersecretary doesn't sound important, but evidently
No.
it is, because Spock then says that does in fact give him the authority to do the thing that he did.
Damn it. This starts one of our three major plot points throughout the episode. That is these stuffed shirt nerds yelling at Kirk to do something and him being very annoyed and constantly telling them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
That is, there are, so if we count like, oh, the Klingons are up to something, and then obviously the Tribble bit
Tribbles.
that we'll get to.
Yeah.
That this is Kirk being annoyed is the third plot point, and
It's the C plot.
it might be my favorite. So fed up.
This is the episode in which I have most aligned with Kirk.
Yeah.
This is the episode where I have most seen myself in Kirk.
He from the get go, he does not want to be on the space station.
No.
He
And it
does
only
not
gets
want to
worse.
deal with these dorks yelling at him about grain. Klingons are doing something, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're gonna call your boss and get you fired. And he's like, just
Get outta here.
absolutely blow
Brother,
me.
I'm James Tiberius Kirk. Get out of my face. Niles says he used priority 1 because he needs security personnel to guard his storerooms, and Kirk is really confused and a little bit mad, and he's like, your storerooms? And Niles hands him a tube of miscellaneous seeds, and he says, we gotta protect this, it's really important. So Kirk's like, this is what, wheat? And the Niles comes up with some bullshit word. He calls it, and I'm sure I'm not saying this right because I watched the episode 3 days ago. The wheat is, in fact, quadrotriticale. It's quadro. And he starts acting really high and mighty about how there's no way that Kirk and Spock would possibly know what it is, but then Spock basically just like reads the Wikipedia entry off the top of his head. So
Never met a Vulcan before. You fucking stupid.
Niles believes that because this is the only grain that is able to grow on Sherman's planet, that the Klingons will sabotage it so that they can win the planetary dispute, I guess. Kirk says, okay, here's the situation. I'm going to send over 2 security guards to guard your seeds, and then I'm going to recommend you for a court-martial because that's not what this is for. That's not how you know. That's not what we do here.
Here's an interesting thing. Creeping into spoiler territory for the rest of the episode.
Sure.
Kirk is absolutely in the right to be annoyed with these goobers because they suck.
Right.
Kirk is absolutely within the right to only allocate 2 security guards because it's not his job. He was basically tricked under false pretenses into coming here, and now that he's here, they're just like, well, help.
It does seem like he was already on his way here to help with the dispute, but the security guard thing and the red alert, or the priority 1 alert, that was all just like completely unnecessary, frankly.
But now, flipping to the other side, looking at the perspective of these guys that I do not like because they suck,
They do.
as stated, they are correct.
Well, one of them is.
The Klingons are coming here, and they are going to attempt to sabotage specifically the grain.
Yeah.
And another thing that they're kind of correct about is Kirk is like, all right, I'll give you 2 security guards. And they're like, oh, we need more than 2 security guards. Listen, go to hell. But they are right, because the Enterprise security guards suck.
They're really bad. They are really bad.
They're not gonna do anything.
The thing about it, though, is no, I can't say that's the whole spoiler of the episode. So we'll get to that later.
We'll get to it.
So Niles gets all huffy because Kirk isn't doing exactly what he said all the time forever. And so Kirk says that he's never questioned or the order or intelligence of a Federation officer, and he starts walking away, and then he turns back and he says, "Until now."
Mhm.
It was a good bit.
You're
Meanwhile,
very
Chekhov
noble.
and Uhura have beamed over for a little bit of shore leave. Specifically, Uhura said that she wanted to shop, I guess. Uh, and Kirk hands Chekhov the tube of Quadro. Chekhov, first of all, recognizes immediately and then claims that it is Russian, which Kirk is just like, all right, just keeps walking.
Dude, today's not the day to bother Kirk with your nonsense.
Uhura and Chekhov see a man who we will later find out is called Cyrano, trying to barter with a shopkeeper. First, he uses gems, and then glow water, whatever that is, and finally, a palm-sized hairball that he calls a tribble.
Yeah, he pulls some pubes out of his pocket. What are
It's
the odds
crazy.
that there is no trivia to back this up, but this guy's very Harry Mudd coded. Do you think there's like
Yeah,
an early draft where it's just like, oh, Harry Mudd is back again and he's here to sell some illegal tribbles?
I could see that. I find this man so much more charming than Harry Mudd, though. When we get to the
Fair.
fight later, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably the best bit of the episode, maybe.
Um, After some haggling, Cyrano ends up giving one of the tribbles to Uhura, because her interest in the tribble, I guess, helps him sell the thing. I don't know. He might just be being nice.
Mhm.
But before they go back to the ship with it, it eats some of the super wheat that Chekhov has, like a dumbass, spilled on the counter.
Spilled all over the place too. Like it's not even that he set the bag there. It's Chekhov. What the hell? But I do like the shot where they're listening to the haggling, and you can just see the little clump of fluff. Just it's on the move. It's kind of grooving along towards the
Yeah.
super wheat.
I would be very interested in just seeing, like, if these were returning characters that showed up on the Enterprise or something. Like, I know in Next Gen there's the bar that Whoopi Goldberg works at, and obviously in like Deep
Hmm.
Space Nine it's a whole space station.
Hmm.
But these two characters, this barkeep and Cyrano, I would be completely thrilled to see just them talking shit to each other for another 10 episodes. Like, their back and forth that they have this whole episode is really good.
I agree.
Where he's like trying to sell him these, I think he calls them like fire gems or something. He's like, I've got 20 of them, and he's like, well, what about glow water? And he's like, what, so I can polish the gems? It's like, it's really good. Meanwhile, back on the Enterprise, some loser calls Kirk and tells him that he actually does have to do what Niles says, because I guess he has a higher rank technically, which only serves to piss off Kirk even more.
Get his chops busted this episode.
Uhura says a Klingon battle cruiser has appeared, so they rush back to battle stations. But when they go to call K7 and warn Mr. Lurie, he's like, "Don't worry about it. The Klingon captain is already in my office." And then we get
Dude,
another break.
dude, you were like, you need to help us because the Klingons. And then he's like, "Why are you freaking out? I let him in. What is your
Well,
deal?"
to be fair, so Lurie is the guy who runs the station.
Uh-huh.
The guy who was freaking out about the grain, I don't think like works at the station most of the time. I think he's just there to be a bureaucrat.
Hmm.
Because that's Niles. Because there's Niles and then his like right hand man Arn, and they're doing like wheat shit, and then
Yeah,
Lurie, Cyrano, and whatever the barkeeper's name, they just like live here. This is their house, I guess.
sure.
Anyway, Kirk and Spock beam back over, and they meet with Captain Koloth, who apparently know each other by name because they don't introduce themselves. They just know each other's names. I don't know if that's like they had like each other's dossiers or if they're both famous. I don't know. Who's to say?
I mean, high-ranking captains, I guess we're supposed to get the impression that like, oh, this is the Klingons have their own Kirk. And of course, if they know about our Kirk, we know about theirs, maybe kind of thing.
I have a question here. Okay,
Yes.
so Kirk, again, as we've noted on multiple episodes with different characters, but I don't remember if Kirk was one of the ones that said it, does continue to call these Klingons. Are are Klingons the ones that just look like people but with like mild brown face, and then Klingons are the actual aliens? Is that what it happens? Is that what life is?
In like a joke way or like a serious way?
I mean, mostly a joke way, but like, is that
As a joke, yes.
is that the Is that
Yes.
my headcanon right now?
You know how in 40K before they were orcs, they were corks or something?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here.
Captain Koloth says that he wants shore leave for his men, one of whom is immediately like, and don't ask what we do for fun. And I was like, well, now I'm curious. I wasn't going to before, but what the fuck is up with you, bud? What's the
We keep
situation?
we keep calling it shore leave. This is a space station.
Yeah, does that count?
I mean, I know that's like shore leave just means like
Not on the ship.
recreation time, not on the ship we serve on. So
Yeah.
technically, sure, but like shore leave, and then I go from one spaceship to another spaceship. I'd be kind of pissed.
Yeah. I mean, they do say they're like, yeah, we don't keep any recreational stuff on Klingon ships. It's exclusively for war or whatever. So I guess they don't have like 3D chess or a big dumb loot for Uhura to play, for the Klingon Uhura to play.
They don't have Roku TV.
Or Roku TV. So maybe it's different for them than it is for the Enterprise crew. I mean, I don't know what all recreation is on the Enterprise. I know later we'll get like a fully functional holodeck and shit. So I guess there's the gym. That's something. Kirk says to ask Mr. Lurie, but Lurie's like, hey man, I don't have the authority to tell them no, but I don't want them here. And so Kirk's like, don't worry, man, I got you. Yeah, you can have 12 guys come over.
Little racial profiling probably, but they're going to turn out to be right, so we can't really say much about it.
He says you can send over 12 people at a time, and I'm going to send the exact same number of my own security personnel over so that nothing crazy will happen. And then Captain Call-Out is like, don't worry, nothing crazy will happen. It was definitely not an episode of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in some conference room somewhere, Uhura's Tribble has had babies, and her and a group of crew members are sitting around petting them while they vibrate mildly. Hey, do you still have that Tribble that we got from like loot boxes 100 years ago?
I have exactly 3 Tribbles.
Is one of them the loot box one and 2 different ones?
That was like the little one in the little...
Yeah, it's like a little plastic dish.
Yeah, I still got that. I've got that next to my Star Trek stuff, yeah.
Makes sense. I think I got rid of mine a long time ago.
I'm keeping mine because Tribbles are cool. They do say, they make a note of saying that like Tribbles, they purr like cats kind of, and the sound and vibrations that they emit just like has a soothing effect on people.
Spock specifically says it has a neutralizing effect on the human nervous system, which is a crazy way to say that.
Yeah, and then Spock's like, I'm a fucking Vulcan. I wouldn't fall for such a...
And I hate cats.
And then he keeps petting it, and I'm like, you like cats, don't you, Squidward?
Yeah. And then Bones asks if he can have one to study, and Uhura's like, if you're going to dissect it, don't let me know. And he's like, no, I won't harm a hair on its head, wherever that is. She then just basically starts giving them away to crew members who, and I know that they're not actually living creatures, but just
we're saying the same thing.
They just like fully like grip and rip these Tribbles off the table.
One guy picks it up like he's grabbing his car keys.
Yeah, like he's about to throw it like a baseball.
Yeah. Like, all right, yeah, I guess I'll just take this.
Kirk takes a call from Niles Barris, who says the station is swarming with Klingons and demands Kirk protect the grain, and he reminds him that there are just as many security guards on the station and almost tells him off, but then he's like, I'll take it under advisement, and I'm going to go to sickbay. I've got a headache.
Yeah, he does.
In sickbay, he finds Bones with now a full case full of Tribbles and says they keep multiplying because apparently half of their metabolism is based on reproduction, so if they eat, then they bone, and now there's 100 Tribbles.
Yeah, so let's talk about Tribble reproduction here for a second. I'm sure a conversation that many people on the internet have had before us.
Right.
But
what does a Tribble penis look like? Right. We're all wondering it.
That's not quite. It's probably corkscrewed, but that's not what I was going to say.
I bet it's just the hairs.
Ooh.
I bet it's like Avatar style. The hair's just kind of like.
Oh no! And the sound effect to go with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they eat, but they also, he doesn't say here. I think he says later that they're born pregnant.
Yeah.
So then why do they have to? But they also go out of their way to say the implication. No. Bones specifically says that he, he says
He says they're
they
born
are
pregnant,
bisexual.
which is not what that means.
No.
I think he means asexual, pretty sure, or like
Well,
reproduce asexually. Like that's what the phrase is that I've
the
heard.
fact that he doesn't say asexual, I'm like, okay, they're not asexual. I think what he meant was they can,
They just
like frogs, switch depending on
oh
how many male are in an environment, how many female are in an environment. They just
right.
match up. They can be either or.
We're all
That way they
boning.
can make. But the point is,
Yeah.
they're born pregnant, but these tribbles are fucking in our walls,
Yes.
in our homes.
Yup.
Oh,
it's it's not great. Anyway, shortly after, Kirk then sends a bunch of people to K7 for shore leave, and he demands that Scotty go too, but Scotty doesn't really want to. He just wants to read his technical manuals because he's a big dumb nerd. But he goes to the station anyway because he has to. Uh, and at the bar, one of the other Klingons from before, whose name I didn't write down, I don't think. Maybe, hold on, Korax. Korax comes. Oh, no, sorry. Different man from before. He goes to the station's bar where the man from before, Cyrano, comes in and again tries to barter with a Tribble. But Scotty doesn't want it. Then he takes it over to the Klingons and it like barks at them a little bit. It like rises up because it hates them.
yeah, tribbles are racist against Klingons,
And then,
but Klingons are also racist against tribbles, so I guess it bounces out.
and then he tries to take it to the barkeeper, and the barkeeper's like, "Oh yeah, Tribble," and just keeps pulling Tribbles out from underneath the counter, and it's very funny.
One at a time, too. He's so passive aggressive about
I
it.
think he's got like 18 by the end of it.
Yeah.
Korax, one of the Klingons from earlier, just starts talking absolute shit to Scotty about first Kirk and then eventually the ship. And at first, Scotty is stopping Chekhov from starting a fight with the guy. But then when it switches over to him calling the Enterprise a trash heap or something, then Scotty just decks the dude and it turns into a full-on bar brawl.
Yeah, the Klingon starts rage baiting. Scotty says, "Don't fall for it." Scotty immediately falls for it, and a fun little fight ensues. I want to say about this fight, goddamn Scotty, mean right hook. He floors a Klingon officer with one punch.
Right.
Um, Chekhov gets absolutely ragdolled basically the entire time.
Chekhov, not good in a fight.
No, no. And then our two other randoms that we have with us, they're doing okay. They get thrown around a bit, but at least one of them was putting in work on some of these Klingons. So I feel like we held our own here.
Yeah, for sure. But the most important thing about this fight is that while it is happening, the barkeeper runs out of the room, and our boy Cyrano is doing just a full-on prop comedy bit. He like goes behind the bar and he steals two drinks, and then he walks back through the fight while everyone's like missing him with the two drinks, and he's like pocketed one of the drinks, and he gets to the door and he's about to drink it, and the barkeep comes back in and takes the drink, and then he pulls the second one out of his pocket. It's just like ooh, and just like drinks it and walks out the room. It's so good. I love this man. And then after the fight, it just hard cuts to Kirk with everybody lined up who has been a part of this bar fight.
Kirk, who we already know, has lost all patience for this day.
He's mad because he wanted to be in the fight, I think.
Yeah.
He has canceled shore leaves for both groups, so both the Enterprise crew and the Klingons, which I guess he has the authority to do, because I guess he's able to say, like, because it's a Federation station, you know? He's like, no, you can't come on board. Go away. And he starts reprimanding all of the guys, none of whom will rat out who started the fight, with Scotty. But after he dismisses all of them, Scotty eventually admits that he threw the first punch, and then he describes all of the insults that the guy threw at Kirk, and was like, but I didn't care about those ones. Those ones were fine. But when he started talking mess about the Enterprise, I had to get him.
He basically says, "You can insult me race, you can insult me captain, you can even insult me mother. But if you insult me ship, I'll knock you in the dirt, lad."
And Kirk seems like mildly offended by it. He's like,
a little bit.
I think for a second he was like, "Oh, you were defending me. Oh, wow. Okay, maybe I'm not so mad about you being in the fight." Okay,
Scotty, I really needed that today. What do you mean it wasn't about me?
What do you mean it was the ship? So Scotty is then restricted to quarters, which he's happy about because now he gets to read his stupid nerd books.
All right.
Back in Medbay, Spock and Bones are looking at a pile of tribbles that it has doubled again since the last time we saw it. And Spock says that he finds them disquieting. And Bones gets, like, honestly offended. And he's like, one thing I know about these is that I like them. And Spock's like, yeah, you know what? At least they don't talk.
I wrote Bones and Spock quibble about the Tribbles.
They quibble. Good. That's very good. Kirk then goes to the bridge and sits on a tribble that's somehow gotten into his chair. And he looks around and notices that the entire place is infested with little hairballs. And no one seems to give a shit. So he calls Bones up, who tells them that Tribbles are born pregnant and reproduce like crazy. And then Bones and Spock go back to K7 while Kirk is just like, get these things off the bridge. I'll be back in a minute. So Bones and Spock go back to K7 and they talk to Cyrano, the Tribble guy, and ask him, hey, what's the deal with these things? And he's basically like, yeah, I don't know. Like, they sell easy. They reproduce great. I can keep a good stock of them. It's super easy. And it's legal because they're not, like, dangerous. So I can reproduce them and we're good and everything's fine.
I disagree that they're not dangerous. What the hell's going on here? It's an ecological disaster brewing.
Yeah. Spock says that on their home planet, they get eaten super easy all the time by predators, and so they have to be able to reproduce like crazy. But when you take them out of that, now there's a million Tribbles.
I also don't like that visual. A big-ass space tortoise rocking up, just picking up a Tribble in its mouth and swallowing it. That makes me sad.
Like a horse eating grass.
It's like a fuzzy little Hot Pocket.
Yeah. Niles comes in to talk shit to Kirk again, and he says that he's taking the job too lightly, and Kirk's like, no, I'm taking the job very seriously. I'm taking you lightly.
Calls him a bitch.
Basically. Niles says that Cyrano might be a Klingon spy, and Spock says they looked into him and found nothing, so they go back to a now disgustingly Tribble-coated cafeteria on the Enterprise, where Kirk is so annoyed because he just wants a coffee and a sandwich, but instead he gets a cup of Tribble and a plate of Tribble.
I hate to say it, this is exactly what it's like living with a husky. It's a nightmare.
They realize that if these things are constantly eating, they may also be eating the grain that's on the station, because I guess at some point someone says that they like got into the vents, and he's like, there's probably vents in the storage room. So they call for Niles to meet them outside of the grain storeroom on the station, which they then very quickly find to be absolutely slam bang full of Tribbles instead of grain, which they find out by opening it and having Kirk just covered in a tsunami of Tribbles. And
it's a lot of Tribbles.
Most importantly, for the rest of the scene, there's somebody just off screen occasionally throwing a Tribble at the back of Shatner's head.
And he, every single time, he'll slowly look back, being like, is that the last one? Or
it's so good. It's such a good bit.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Anyway, it turns out there's a ton of Tribbles, and for some reason, a lot of them are dead after eating the grain. Oh, what could that mean? So Kirk demands that someone arrest Cyrano and bring his ass to a room where they can talk to him again. And most importantly, that someone close this door that the Tribbles are being thrown through. So finally, here at the end of the episode, we have gathered all of our named characters, which are, of course, Kirk, Spock, Bones, Niles' assistant Arn, who has not spoken except once at the very beginning of the episode, and I'm sure won't be important. Captain Koloth, his guy who from the fist fight, and Cyrano Jones, our big dumb Tribble guy in a huge coat, are all together in one room, and they can finally start trying to figure out who put the Tribbles in the grain and what in the grain killed the Tribbles. So Koloth asks before they talk about the Tribbles, before they start talking, that the Tribbles be removed from the room. But when the security guards start taking them out into the hallway, they start freaking out, not when they get close to the Klingons, but instead when they get close to our boy Arn.
Wow.
Uh-oh. So Kirk uses the Tribble as a Klingon detector and finds out that Arn is in fact a Klingon spy.
In a real Cotton Hill sort of, you're Loatian, ain't you, Mr. Khan kind of way.
I don't even know what that is.
It's from King of the Hill.
Okay. Bones also lets them know that the grain was poisoned. Wow. So Arn, who I've named here Kling Arn, admits to poisoning the grain. But he didn't put the Tribbles in the grain, which could mean that the grain has been poisoned since before the episode even started, because Arn has been here with Niles for who knows how long.
That's true. Yeah, he definitely didn't put the Tribbles in the green. The Tribbles have. This is a real. I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you and your dumb
You're
Tribbles.
stupid asshole.
They just accidentally solved our problem for us by dying. They really jumped on a grenade.
Yeah. Kirk demands. So we figured it out. Kirk demands that the Klingons leave, and to my surprise, they do. Uh, they charge Cyrano. They take. Okay, first of all, they then take Cyrano back to the bar, where in the background no one talks about it, but the barkeep is covered in triples. He's got like one arm on the counter, hand on chin, and he's covered in a mountain of triples that he's peeking out through a hole in.
Just this is what life is now.
And they charge Cyrano. They say, "Hey, we could charge you with 20 years for your crime of this, but instead we're going to let you off early, and instead you'll just have to pick up every single tribble on this space station," which Spock lets him know will instead only take 17.9 years.
Oh my God. I mean, that's what he did cause an ecological disaster.
He did.
That's what he gets.
He did, and I love him for it. But damn, yeah, it's. I mean, I hope someone helps him because, frankly, you're gonna have to. We gotta get rid of these things. But then back on the bridge of the Enterprise, we find out all of the tribbles on the Enterprise are already gone, and everyone's like, "Well, what happened? Where did they go?" And Scotty's like, "Don't worry, I beamed them over to the Klingon engine room just before they warped out of here."
Eco-terrorism.
And he says, "Don't worry, in the Klingons engine room there'll be no tribble at all." And then everyone laughs.
Ha 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 ha. Eco-terrorism.
The entire cast is here laughing except Sulu, which had me asking, "Where's he at?"
When's the last time we saw him too?
I don't know. And I'll get ahead of ourselves here a little bit, but he's not in the next one either.
I know.
So yeah, that's the episode. You got any trivia or anything for me?
I've got a handful of trivia. Yeah. So it says here the scene where Kirk gets buried in the avalanche of tribbles took 8 takes to get right. And the triples were thrown by, as you'd imagine, just members of production crew that were just up back there somewhere.
Ones that were sick of his shit.
And it says that they kept, like, the bit that we love so much of the triples just keep randomly falling on his head throughout the conversation. It says it's because they couldn't tell when to stop throwing them. That seems like a lie to me. That seems just like, oh, funny story to tell at conventions or something. Because it was too perfectly comedically timed for that to be the case.
I think we've been hearing all these stories about him being kind of a piece of shit on set and being like a real dick to Leonard Nimoy. I think people were like, so you say I get to throw stuff at Shatner? Buddy, we're gonna do it. Don't say cut.
We made gold with it too, so I'm not complaining.
No, it's very good.
So the Tribble moving on its own was created by the prop supervisor bought like a toy battery powered dog that like could walk on its own.
Oh,
you
sure.
know? They stripped it down to its mechanical parts and just kind of like made it into small pieces that still moved, strapped more fur around it, and that's how we got moving Tribbles. Apparently, even though it worked, it was so loud that any scene that like a Tribble is moving had to be like redubbed with ADR.
That's really unfortunate. Why would it not be easier just to put a little fishing wire on it?
I'm sure they did that too with like the one on like the counter that it's like moving towards the grain. I bet that's fishing wire. But there's ones like that you just kind of see pulsating on the ground. I feel like that's probably the one.
That makes sense. Yeah, some of them were, as you said, pulsating in a way that I did not find attractive.
Tribbles.
Ugh.
The noises that Tribbles make are a combination of dove cooing, screeching owls, and air escaping from balloons.
Okay, those last two don't sound cute.
Nope. Anyways, the pile of Tribbles, this one's fun, that Shatner's buried in was constructed by, because obviously that's way too many Tribbles to actually have, so they made like a wire mesh.
Oh, okay.
And like built it around him and then just kind of like glued Tribbles to it, I guess.
So he's wearing like a big Renaissance hoop skirt of Tribbles.
Yeah, more or less. To the point where I remember at a convention that I went to like 10 years ago, there was a lady cosplaying Kirk from this episode, and her
Mm-hmm.
dress was exactly that. She
Honestly,
was just like walking around with a big tribble skirt. It was
that's a
fun.
good bit. That's a good
It's
bit.
funny.
And
It's funny.
it's one of those really smart costumes where it means that while you're walking around the con, people have to stay a couple feet away from you.
Yes,
It's very smart.
she knew what she was doing.
Especially as a woman at a con, yeah, you got to wear like a backpack or something. You got to keep these sweaty ass nerds. At least we got to get
There
COVID
you
rules.
go.
Get 6 feet away from my house.
There you go. There you go. Oh, according to Shatner, so grain of salt, but I believe it.
Sure,
He actually said that this was one of the most fun episodes that they ever filmed, like the whole crew
it's one of the episodes I
together.
had the most fun watching. So
That's true. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's really funny.
James Doohan also claims that the "no tribble at all" line was improv by him. Like it obviously like
Mm,
the line was "no trouble,"
yeah,
but he just
no
did it
trouble
or
at all.
tripped up on accident,
You know,
but they just went with
honestly,
it.
the reaction that Kirk has, where he kind of like hits him in the stomach, I could see that. I could see that Shatner just like that being his actual human reaction to it. So I buy
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
All right, this one I'm just going to read word for word
Yep.
because
So that
here
you
we go.
know I'm not complicit on whatever this sentence is.
The consequences of Scotty transporting all the Tribbles onto the Klingon ship reach farther than Scotty probably could have foreseen, as detailed by Worf in the episode Trials and Tribulations in
Oh my god.
1996. The Klingons
30
considered
years later.
Tribbles to be an ecological menace and mortal enemies to the Klingon Empire. When an effort to breed a natural predator that could hunt them failed, the Empire made a concentrated effort to hunt down the Tribbles to extinction, which finally culminated in the destruction of the Tribble homeworld at the end of the 23rd century. Despite this, many Tribbles survived on other ships.
Oh my god. And may I say good riddance, I guess. What do you mean couldn't breed something that could be a predator to tribbles? What are they doing? What
I don't
can't
know.
kill a
Like
tribble?
they couldn't kill Tribbles fast enough. I guess I don't know.
We just need like a cat with extremely fast metabolism.
They couldn't get one.
Or a cat that just hunts for fun instead of to eat.
I feel like a lot of cats do that.
That is true, actually, yeah. So we just need Earth cats. We couldn't have gotten
Yeah.
some.
No, we couldn't. Instead, we blew up the planet.
And, you know, it's a very Klingon solution.
So yeah, that's this episode's obviously getting an engage.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt.
It's fun. In a way that like I remembered this episode being like, oh, it's fun, it's stupid, but it's fun. But no, this is genuinely a really
Yeah.
enjoyable episode.
This lived up to the hype in a way that I was not expecting. Because I knew that this was an episode. Well, I thought that this was an episode that people liked. I don't remember exactly what you were saying at the beginning, where people seemed like maybe not super thrilled that it was a comedy episode. But
I don't think they're not like thrilled with it. I don't think it's considered in the upper echelon of like, oh, this episode's really like it's not going to
sure.
get compared to, of course, like
City on the Edge of Forever,
City on the Edge of Forever,
or Balance of Terror, right?
yeah, of course,
Yeah, I wouldn't put it
Doomsday
that
Machine,
high.
even in this season.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
good. I think it's probably
yeah,
like probably top 10. I'd have to like look at the list again, but probably.
for the season, I think I would confidently say top 10.
For the season, I'd probably say top 5.
That would make more sense because I think we've only done like 15 episodes for the season.
And a lot of them have not been great. So
No, so yeah.
yeah, obviously an engage for me also. So
That brings us to the next episode, the Gamesters of the Triskelion.
the Gamesters of the Triskelion. I don't like the word gamesters. Is that a real word? Like I think, gamer, game
Nope.
master,
Nope.
game
In fact,
gamester.
from now on,
Yeah.
we're calling gamers Gamesters from
Yeah.
now on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I do my YouTube intro. What's up, gamesters?
What's up? What's up, Gamesters?
Ew. Ew.
It's not grosser than gamers. That word is disgusting now to me.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyway, Gamesters of the Triskelion again starts on the Enterprise while it is orbiting a planet called Gamma 2. Kirk, Uhura, and Chekhov try to beam down to the planet, but instead get teleported somewhere else by someone else. and Spock or Scotty has a really funny bit where he has to tell Spock that they got on the transporter and then disappeared. And Spock's like, "Yeah, man, that's what that does." And he's like, "No, you don't understand."
Oh. That is a good bit.
Kirk immediately discovers that they aren't on Gamma 2 by looking at the sky, which is a different color than it should be, I guess. And also, their communicators don't work, but they don't have a lot of time to worry about that because immediately a caveman, a weird greaser-looking dude, and two sexy aliens come out from behind rocks to beat their ass.
I also called him a caveman because that's just what he is.
Yeah.
He has like two like snarling saber-toothed tiger
Yeah.
teeth.
There's something going on there.
There's a guy, random guy. The girl who is the important girl of the episode.
Yeah, Shauna is what we'll find out her name is.
She is an Oompa Loompa. Like that, she's got like an orange tan.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
And
yeah,
she has the exact hair of an Oompa Loompa.
She's pretty cute though.
She's a sexy Oompa Loompa.
She's really cute. Yeah, it's unfortunate. They try to shoot them with their phasers, but hey, those don't work either. So instead, they really quick lose a fist fight.
Man, this is so funny. They get their shit absolutely rocked, and I think it's because Kirk is like, "I'll take this guy." He just like picked the guy he knew he could beat, and he does beat him more or less.
Right, but then...
he throws Chekhov up against the giant 7-foot tall caveman.
And then Uhura has to do a 2-on-1.
Yeah, and then he puts her on a 2v1. That's crazy, dude.
How would you break it up for maximum efficiency? Because I think I have an answer. I think I know how we win this.
Kirk fights the two women.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I would say so. Kirk's got to fight the caveman. He's the only one I think who's got the plot armor for it. Then you put Uhura on the greaser looking guy, and then Chekhov just gets his ass beat by the two girls until Uhura and Kirk are done.
Yeah, I think Uhura could solo either one of the girls. Uhura could probably take the normal sized human man. Chekhov, I'm not buying it. I would put Chekhov against.
We saw
Chekhov needs to distract. Chekhov needs to distract too. That's what he needs to do. So you're right in him probably distracting the two girls until Uhura can go over, because Kirk can handle the big guy, but it's going to take him the whole fight.
Right. Well, okay. So because Kirk clearly is like a fighter, right? And then Uhura, I would say probably a bard, right?
Oh yeah, sure. She sings.
Right. So, and then Chekhov is an NPC peasant.
Yeah.
He does not have player levels.
His class, he'd be something. If he were a class, it would be like a rogue or a thief, something small. But his stats aren't good.
Yeah. He rolled really bad and refused to re-roll when his DM offered it. But hey, don't worry about any of that, because as they lose their fight, a bald vampire with bad skin and an echoey voice teleports in to tell them that they are on the planet Triskelion. And then it hard cuts to all of our crew members chained to a wall with collars around their neck, but the conversation continues like they're still talking in the same place in a way that does make it feel like they literally just teleported to be on the wall.
Yeah.
And a little bit I was like, okay, they've got the collars on now, so maybe that's why they had to be chained up. But like, if you can teleport people around, why couldn't you just teleport the necklaces onto the people? Like, I don't know what's going on here. It felt really weird. It was a weird cut. And then they immediately let him off the wall anyway, so it's like, what was the point?
They put him on the wall so we could put the collars on him.
I mean, yeah, I guess. It must be. But it just because of the cuts, I think it felt so weird.
Yes.
The vampire tells them that his name is Galt, and that they are now thralls, and they will be trained to fight for the providers. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, Spock, Bones, and Scotty are looking for Kirk, but they have no idea what happened, and they don't know where to look, but Spock and Bones are having some pretty cute bits where they're just kind of like making fun of each other a little bit.
Yeah. I do think we can probably save a lot of time.
We just skip all those bits.
By just saying every time we cut back to the Enterprise, it's the same thing of like, have you found them yet? Like,
nope.
No, but I think they're over here probably. And that's really it. We're still looking.
The entire plot of the Enterprise, I'll just say it here, is they're looking around in the area where they disappeared for about a minute, and then Spock is like, they're not here, and then he sees some kind of like hydrogen trail or something. He's like, guess I'll follow that. And then for the entire time that they're going to that place, everyone's like, what are we doing? This is a wild goose chase. And he's like, I'm in charge, so that's what we're doing. And then of course it turns out to be right, because that's Spock.
Yeah, I will say, for what reason would you question Spock in that situation? Like, I know that on paper it's just like, but we teleported him here, but we don't have him, so Where could it be? But it's Spock. Like, he's probably correct, and he was.
Yeah. Anyway, our crew members down on Triskelion are being taken to holding cells, but they try to fight back, and Galt the vampire makes the collars of obedience, as he will call them, hurt them so that they fall over, and Kirk gets like a really funny looking face right into the camera because of course he does.
I also think right before the collars turned on, Kirk punched a guy in the dick. I think that happened.
I didn't put that in my notes, but you're probably right.
I believe that happened here.
So they all walk into their cells, and then they start talking between the cells about, hey, the Enterprise is for sure looking at us, right? Or like trying to find us. And then Lars, the greaser guy I was talking about from earlier, goes into Uhura's cell.
Yeah, how are we going to talk about this?
Says that he's Uhura's drill thrall, which is not what it sounds like it is, but then it is what it sounds like it is, because he says that he's been selected for her, and then, frankly, just he tries to have sex with her. Not like that's not even. It's not even like.
He tries to get very non-consensual, and we're not seeing what's happening in there. And Uhura's screaming, and Kirk's like, "No, leave her alone." It's the most uncomfortable thing we've, I think, ever actually had in all of Star Trek thus far.
Easily. Yeah. And we know that he doesn't succeed, because when he succeed, that's not a great way to put it, but you know what I mean.
Ew. Oh.
We know that he isn't able to actually have sex with her, because when he leaves in about a second here, he's like upset and huffy about how he's like, you're not allowed to refuse selection or whatever.
He got his feelings hurt.
I mean, a little bit, I guess. But it's also crazy because it's like day one. Like, they just landed. They haven't been. I mean, we'll get into all this in a minute. But like, she hasn't been selected by one of the providers yet. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
No, I think this guy's also full of shit, because we see the selection process thing. Like, the other ladies come in. They're like, "Oh, I've been selected for you," in like a sultry kind of way.
So yes and no. So they come in and they say that they're their drill thralls, but they don't say that they've been selected. That's different things. So
right.
So Shanna is, because later I mean, it's right now, I guess. Kirk's drill thrall, a sexy lady called Shanna with green hair, who is an Oompa Loompa, and of course a very skimpy silver dress, or dresses being extremely generous. It's like booty shorts and a bra, basically.
Yeah.
Enters the cell with a tray of food and says it's the nourishment time. And then a much less sexy yellow creature called Timur, with a weird voice, goes into Chekhov's and starts coming on to him, but saying that they can't do anything because she hasn't been selected for him.
Man, so, they like pitched her voice way down.
I think the joke is supposed to, like, it makes her sound like a man, is I think the joke.
You think that's intentional, not just she's an alien? Because I did write in my notes, Chekhov is going to have sex with a yellow-skinned trans woman live on television.
I do think that that's the joke that they're trying to make, because back in the 60s that was a funny thing and not offensive.
I don't know. I feel like if it was a joke, Chekhov would have looked at the camera and been like, "Ugh," but he didn't. He was just like, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess I just don't have the benefit of the doubt for them. But you're probably right. They don't play it super jokey, but I do think it was like they didn't. I don't think that they like meant it as an insult, and as they just meant it as like, this person's not attractive. But the unfortunate side of it is that they made it effectively a trans woman. Timoon rather, the yellow creature, whatever species alien that is, then explains what selection is, and it's basically that what is it? She says, like, when the herd is too small, then people get selected so that they can have kids or something, so they will breed.
Terrible.
But I guess that's not true for Kirk or Chekhov yet, so they just saw her and said, "What if we ruined her day?" Like, immediately.
I think that guy was going off script.
Maybe
not the actor in the television series Star Trek, but the
Lars, yeah,
the character in the show. I think he was going into business for himself, and he's maybe not a very good guy at all ever.
I don't think most of the people on this planet are good guys, and we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, back in Kirk's cell, he's talking to Shauna, who basically says that they're slaves and / or gladiators. Which gladiators were also for the most part slaves, so I guess that's kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "That's great. Hey, you're beautiful." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Of course he is. Yeah,
of course he is. And she is. I mean, she is. But then she has the really unfortunate character affect of, because she's been a slave her whole life and has never been educated and has never been anywhere else, she talks like a child. So even though she is probably old enough, she's talking like a dumbass. And so it does kind of there's a lot of it going forward that does a little bit feel like Kirk is like kind of taking advantage of the situation, even though I don't think he's supposed to be.
There's a male fantasy of, what if you found a beautiful gladiator woman who didn't know any better? Okay.
A lot of the relationship between Kirk and Shauna feels like the setup to a porn, to the point where at one point, I think she literally is like, "What is love?"
Mm-hmm.
It's
which is, I think, the second time we've had that conversation this season.
Yeah, that's probably true. Who was the other one?
Remember the planet on the Snake Temple God planet?
You're right.
They didn't know how to have sex.
Yeah.
And then we, I guess, kind of taught them how to have sex.
Ooh, you could even argue the stupid cloud thing that the guy who invented warp travel had sex with.
That's right. He did have sex with the cloud.
We're just out here. Star Trek is about teaching aliens how to fuck.
Yeah,
that's the plot of Star Trek.
That's what it's about. It's what it's always been about.
Apparently. Anyway, we learned that Shauna was born here and that her mom died in a fight, so she doesn't know anything else. But then, before we can feel sad about that, a red light flashes and they have to go put on their training harnesses, which most people put on over their clothes. But hey, give it one scene from now, and Kirk will, of course, be shirtless, wearing some basically a harness.
He puts it on over his clothes, but then circumstances happen that he's shirtless with this like strap harness on. I wrote in my notes at the beginning of the episode, I can only assume that the reason Uhura was on the party here was so that they could put her in like a sexy outfit, right? Like a Princess Leia slave to Jabba thing. But clearly, good old Bill Shatner was like, "I'll jump on that grenade. The sexy outfit is mine."
You know what? If we view it through, because I doubt that that's unfortunately the situation, but I'm gonna choose to believe that he was like, "Hey, you want someone to be shirtless in this scene? It's gonna be me, Uhura. You keep that shit on. Don't worry, you're okay, babe."
I had this thought too when he does get fully shirtless.
Yeah.
So William Shatner at this point in time, watching this episode, he's not a bad-looking guy.
No,
and he's in relatively good shape for a man of his
36. I think we found out.
Yeah. So like he's good. He's in good shape. He's a good-looking guy. He hasn't lost his hair yet.
Frankly, a couple of these episodes recently, I think he's genuinely like hot. Like he's an 8 or 9 out of 10, easy.
So were there women back in the 60s that were like, "Oh, we gotta tune in. We gotta tune into this show because he's a handsome man." Were women doing that? Were women maybe? Like that? Bill Shatner is one hot piece.
I guarantee that there were some. I do think that they probably had other people that they were looking at. Like, I don't know when fucking Gunsmoke was on TV, but I bet that there was some like cowboy or some detective on some other show that they were more attached to. But yeah, I guarantee it. And then as the show went into syndication and we got more into modern times, then that affection switched from Kirk to Spock, because Spock is more in keeping with like what modern women find attractive.
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think if you did a poll of women in 2026 and you were like, which of these two guys are you more attracted to? I think you would find 60-40 Spock.
Oh, all right.
Back on the Enterprise. Oh no, I already said we could skip all these parts, so we're good. In the training ground, Galt brings out a black guy, because of course it has to be a black guy to be the slave in this scene, and says that he was too slow to follow an order. Not that he didn't. He was too slow to follow an order.
What was that? He was taking a shit.
It certainly couldn't have anything to do with the fact that this man is clearly like 65 years old. So now everyone has to attack him, but Uhura refuses because she's not an asshole. And so Galt is like, okay, then we'll punish you instead, because I guess crimes are transferable on Triskelion. And then Kirk is like, don't worry, I'll do it instead. And it's like, okay, well, they just don't, so they don't care. They just want somebody to get hit.
No, he made, I was following the logic here. Kirk was like, she won't do it because she works for me and I won't let her do it. And they're like, all right, well, fuck it, we'll just whip you then.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that is what it
The
is. It's
the
probably you're probably
logic is
right.
there. The
Yeah,
logic is there.
I wasn't following it at the time apparently. Anyway, so now he gets his hands tied so that he can get whipped by the caveman, who we have since found out his name is Klug.
Sure.
Because why not? I guess.
Whatever.
And he takes a couple shots before we come back from commercial break. So when we come back, he's already got a big hole in the back of his shirt. Because it's Kirk, baby. What's he gonna do? Wear a whole shirt? No.
No. In fact, he'll wear no shirt.
As little shirt as possible. He fights back for a while with his hands tied. But then Galt is like, hey, it's break time. So he goes and sits down next to Shauna, who gives him a Coke and a pep talk.
Man, yeah, big grape soda or something.
She gives him like what appears to be one of those like Mexican Coke bottles, the
of course.
taller ones. And she's like, hey, the caveman Klug, like his left eye is bad, so attack him from the left. And he's like, cool, sick, I'll do that. And then he goes out and strangles him basically with his handcuffs, and he wins the fight. Which I didn't realize it was a fight. I thought it was a punishment, but here we are. Everything's a fight on this planet, I guess.
If you're a gladiator, you turn it into a fight, and if you win, then you're cool.
The providers, who are disembodied voices, then start bidding on the newcomers, as they call them, which is, of course, our guys. With what I have to assume is supposed to be big numbers, but it's all in a currency called quadloons, and I got no fucking idea what that transfers to in American dollars.
The going price for Kirk is 2,000 quadloos.
They then get, and this is just to use the nomenclature from the episode, they get vended to a provider, to provider one. So then their collars turn red, and Galt says that now that they're owned by somebody, if they don't follow orders, they won't just hurt them with the collars, they'll just kill them, I guess. Which, spoilers, obviously doesn't come up, but...
It was at this point that, it kind of becomes clear what the different colors mean. We're owned by this provider now.
Right.
So 100%, if this happened in real life, when this happens in real life, they won't be red, yellow, blue, green, right? They'll have the Amazon logo,
the Microsoft logo,
the Meta logo, the Microsoft logo, and the Google logo. Yeah.
It does bring more questions back to and I think maybe you're even more right about Lars going into business for himself, because it's like, because he's owned, I don't know what color he is, but it's not provider one. But at the time, Ahura is not owned by any provider. So like, is that provider allowed to be like, hey, go have sex with that one? Because like,
no.
That doesn't make sense, because now you're making it might make some sense if you were sending your own like female slave to get pregnant, because then you get one, but like you want him to go make an unbought slave. It doesn't make any sense at all. And then the providers start taking bets on whether or not the humans are even trainable and whether or not they'll have to like kill them, I guess. So I don't know why they bothered buying them if they were like, but hey, maybe they'll suck. Then Kirk and Shauna are jogging, and Kirk is, of course, now completely shirtless for some reason, I guess to show off his new and badly painted on whip scars.
Yeah, they just some magic marker right across the back.
Yeah. Kirk then asks what the deal with the providers is. He's asked if they're computers because he's been through this rodeo before. He asks if they have bodies. She says they don't. Kirk then starts really heavily flirting with Shauna and tries to teach her about the universe and love and, for some reason, mating.
When it comes to hitting on women, James T. Kirk is Mr. No Days Off, all right? He will always find the time.
I guess so. He says, on Earth we select our own mates. And it could be cute in a different situation, but in this one it just feels like a bad porn intro, and I wasn't a fan of it. Mm-hmm. Shannon then starts telling Kirk about the providers, and so they turn her necklace on to hurt her really bad until Kirk starts screaming at the sky for them to stop, which the providers, for some reason, do. And then he kisses her. And she's like, this is the way, like, he's like, this is a thing that my people do, is we are always trying to help each other. And she's like, is that what the kissing is? And he's like, kinda. And she's like, can you help me again? And I was like, oh, brother. And Kirk's like, yeah, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got really mad at this point, not because of the forced kissing the love interest. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
When this was happening, I was convinced she was going to die, by the way.
Yeah, a little bit. No, we should have been keeping tally the whole show of how many women he kisses. Oof. But we should have been keeping a tally of women he kisses and women he just straight up flirts with, right? Because it would have been two different numbers. But according to Google, throughout the entirety of the original series, Kirk smooches 19 women.
Huh.
Which, when you break it down, that there's like what 70 episodes, it's not that bad. I mean, he's not in the pilot, so if you take that
True.
away,
True. And you have to
then
imagine
then
probably a lot of those other episodes. There's not
it's
a
a it's
woman.
about a third of the show.
Yeah.
A third of the show includes him kissing on a
Well,
woman.
he's a very attractive man, I guess. I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
it's not my favorite trait of his, but it is one of his traits for sure. But don't worry, then the vampire shows up to ruin the weird moment, I guess. And he says that because they have amused the providers, they don't have to die. So I guess the providers are also into porn intros as much as they are into blood sport, which fits. Back on the Enterprise, Spock is still following. Yeah, I already said we can skip this, but we're still he's following that trail. And at this point, Scotty and Bones are like, "You're definitely wrong." And Spock's like, "Look, we're gonna keep doing it unless you want to mutiny." And they're like,
They
"Well,
need
we're
to
not gonna do that."
They need to stop doubting him, for God's sake.
Back in the holding cells, Shauna tells Kirk he has made her feel strangely, and that she doesn't want to be his drill thrall anymore. But
This is the craziest part of the episode.
but then he just kisses her again, which is like, I don't know. It kind of sounds like she's not super into it at the moment. But then she starts being into it just in time for him to slap her unconscious.
I had an audible, like, I yelled, "Oh fuck!" Like, it's the most out of absolute nowhere
Just go, "Ooh,
punching
what?"
of a woman. He punched her lights out, and it was like a jump scare.
It's not. I don't even think it's a punch. It looks like he slaps her, but for some reason, this trained warrior is knocked out by a slap.
Yeah, I that's probably a television thing of like, well, you can't closed fist hit a woman on television.
You're not even allowed to close fist punch in the WWF at this point.
That's
Actually,
a
does
good
the
point.
WWF exist at this point?
I think we're still rocking WWWF.
Okay.
Yeah, unless that's not until the 70s.
Is San
I don't remember
Martino
the timeline.
champion?
Probably. Wasn't
Probably.
he champion for like 19
I
years?
think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, he, I guess, knocked her out so he could steal the key from her, which I honestly think she might have just given to him. And he uses it to free Ahura and Chekhov, and we see that Chekhov has also tied up his drill thrall, and I guess Ahura sent hers away by complaining about the food or something.
If anyone deserved to get punched, it was that one.
100%, that guy should have got his ass beat. If there's one that should have been killed, it should have been that one, and I think he makes it out of this, actually.
Oh, that's not good.
But hey, don't worry. The Enterprise has now found Triskelion. They found the planet, and Spock and Bones start heading towards the transporter like they're going to beam down. But then all the lights on the Enterprise start flashing, and the Provider One specifically starts talking to them. For some reason, when he's talking to them on the Enterprise, he like he conference calls in Kirk, I guess. So now Kirk can talk to Spock through Provider One, even though one's on the planet and one's on the. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. It doesn't matter. So Kirk starts by explaining what's going on. He's like, "Hey, we are gladiators and slaves, and this is a provider, and he's a big coward, and he's a why walk crybaby poo boo, and he would never ever let me see him in person because he's a big crybaby coward." And then they're like, "You are no threat with the collar on." And he's like, "Okay, then show yourselves." And so they teleport him to them. And as it turns out, they are 3 brightly colored brains in a jar.
This is how I picture NFL owners.
Yeah.
This is what it's like.
He then makes a deal with them that I'll get this out there immediately. Doesn't sound like a good deal. Where he says if he can beat 3 of their thralls at the same, I mean, they go back and forth, but this is what it ends up with. If he can beat 3 of their thralls at the same time, then they have to set all of the thralls free and then teach them how to govern themselves. But then he also says if he loses, then everyone on the Enterprise becomes thralls. And I'm like, that feels like a crazy thing for the captain to wager.
Not
but
his
he is
place
Kirk.
to wager that. Yeah.
Also,
I
do
mean,
we have
who
to
would?
assume that there's more? I guess we have to assume that there's more thralls than the like 4 that we've seen.
Sure. The whole planet's
It's a whole
probably full
planet,
of them.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's also more providers, like in different parts of the country or like the world.
I don't know. These are the only colors we're seeing.
It's fair. He then gets set back up to the surface to fight against the 3 people. And the 3 people that he then has to fight against are Klug the caveman, Lars the sex offender, and some random Andorian, because we still had the makeup from a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. 3-on-1 handicap trial by combat. Here are the rules. You each need to step on the... It's like Squid Game. You each step on this part, and you don't step off. And if you step off, then you lose your weapon. And Kirk immediately steps off, and the ref doesn't see it.
Immediately, and no one cares. I
Yeah,
also noted that. I was like
yeah,
within
yeah.
within like 5 seconds because there's like it's a swirly pattern, and they're like,
Hmm.
okay, the bad guys, quote unquote. I mean, they're slaves, so I guess they're not really bad guys, but you know what I mean. The opponents are on like the yellow bits of it, and then he has to stay on like the green bit or whatever it is, and then just within 1 second, he's got both feet on the wrong color, and just no one calls it out. And I'm like, you could have just cut that line, and it wouldn't have mattered, and no one would know, no one would think about it, no one would ask twice. Anyway, so they also say that if one of the guys gets killed or gets injured but not killed, then they'll replace him with a different thrall, which I guess must have happened to one of them because after he beats all of their ass, Shauna comes in to finish the fight against him, and he beats her ass real hard, and then she surrenders, which I guess is a thing you're allowed to do in a blood sport.
That's so funny. They didn't know how to end this episode
No, it doesn't feel like it.
because yeah, it's just like, oh, you could have just surrendered. I bet the other guys wish they knew that.
Yeah, because they would get set free. I'm glad they fought so hard. I guess maybe they didn't know the parameters of the fight. So yeah, so he wins, and all the thralls are set free. So now that they get to not be slaves, but they still live entirely based on what the providers give them. So they're like kind of still slaves. Like it doesn't feel like a good win here. And
Um,
Shanna asks if she can go with Kirk, and he says no.
no, 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 no,
And
no,
I
no, no,
said,
no.
that's bullshit. Like, I was genuinely mad. Because I was like, you should go with him. And then she's like, can I go with you? And he says no. And I go, why? Like, out loud in my apartment at 6 a.m. or whatever it was.
No, because he kissed her and now she has to stay here. Yeah, I don't really think there's what part of the oh fuck me, what's it called? Having a mind blank. Prime directive. What part of
Right.
the prime directive says like you freed a slave and she now has the free will to go explore space and maybe join the Federation?
But it's not
But
even. It's not even that. Because, frankly, he should have just taken, like, allowed Shauna to come with them. Because they're still living under the providers. The providers are still going to teach them everything that they're going to be able to learn. The providers still have every power to control them and tell them what to do and all that. And they'll probably continue to go along with it. So it's
Mhm.
not it's not that they aren't slaves anymore. They're just not wearing the collars and maybe not fighting to the death, but who knows? Like they might even continue to do that. Like it's not I look at this and I'm like there's absolutely no reason that Kirk should trust that any of this will be a good idea.
No, they're brains of their word. I trust.
It was just like I don't know, it didn't work. It worked for me as an ending. I was like, what's happening? Why are we doing that? But it is what it is. Did you have any trivia about this episode?
Yeah, so the actress who played Shauna, her name is Angelique Pettyjohn. When she auditioned, she questioned because like the script or like the character description had her listed as like an Amazon warrior, but she was like, "I'm only 5'6". Is that going to be a problem?" And and apparently, the producers. Here's what it says: the producers laughed and said, "Look, sweetheart, next to Shatner, you're gonna look like an Amazon." Ha ha ha. That seems just kind of. I once again don't know how true that is. That sounds like something that just gets said on like a radio talk show or a convention or something.
Right.
Um, she's not taller than Shatner, and I think even
Oh,
her
tall.
big hair is to make her look a little taller. But I don't think she physically needed to look like an actual Amazon warrior for this, you know.
Shatner's
So
5'10". He's not even that short.
it's average. I mean, he's shorter than us.
He's the shortest member of the male cast from what I'm seeing here, other than George Takei.
We could kick his ass.
I could definitely get. He's like
We could
100 years
kick.
old.
Yeah, Bill, if you're listening,
Square.
watch
Hey,
out.
square up. I don't care that you've been to real space.
Are we the first? What in the list of like here are podcasts that have openly threatened William Shatner? Just kidding, Bill. You're fine.
The words of Skylar Daniel do not represent an actual threat.
No, 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 no. Of course. So the vampire you alluded to, Galt,
Yeah.
he was modeled after, if you've ever seen the film Flash Gordon, the main villain, Ming the Merciless. He looks exactly like him to the point that he showed up and I was like, "That's the Flash Gordon." But then that was on purpose, apparently.
Ah.
Also, according to I think the actor that plays Galt, he tried to go for when he moved in that big robe of his. He wanted to like make it look like he was like sweeping like motionless across the floor, like he didn't have legs almost. And you can kind of I read that before I watched the episode because I kind of kept an eye out for it. And I can see the attempt there. He's definitely walking in a certain way. It is not a success.
There's one scene where it looks a little like that, but yeah, for the most part, no. I guess he doesn't walk much from what I'm remembering.
Yeah.
He's a stationary man.
Okay, this is the only episode of Star Trek the Original Series that ends with a non-regular character as the focus of the scene.
Oh, because it's Shauna, like, looking up at the sky. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And then, at a certain point, Spock and Bones are discussing how long a person could survive just being stuck as, like, transportation matter, right?
Sure.
Like, real quick at the beginning, they're like, could they be just, like, still in mid-transport?
Hey, real fast, are they goo?
And there's a Next Gen episode where that happens, where they find somebody who has survived approximately 75 years being held in the transporter beam. And that person is Montgomery Scott.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he found the answer to his question.
Okay, that's Gamesters of Triskelion.
Mm-hmm.
How do we think about this one? The other one was so like, boom, this one's good. What do we think about this one?
Win. Here's the thing, like, coming into this conversation, I was very confident that I was going to give it an engage, but then the conversation got like really dark, and now I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did enjoy watching the episode for the most part, except that one scene with Uhura and Lars in the cell.
Yeah, that was horrific.
Other than that, I was like, this is a fun episode. And like, they didn't play that as a good thing, so I don't know that
That's true.
You know what I mean? They weren't like it wasn't one of our heroes doing that. You know what I mean? Like they
played it as of course.
So, which, how some of our characters have acted around women in the past, not 100 miles away from the realm of possibility. I do think I'm going to still give this one an engage, but I'm just not going to feel as confident about it.
No, it's definitely lower.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun watching it. I like seeing some cool alien makeup. The fighting was cool. It was easy for me to take notes because, like George Lucas, I could just write and then they fought a couple of times, and that really saved me time. So, that's true. I know that shouldn't play into it, but it does. When I take these notes, I do appreciate not having to take as many. So yeah, engage for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit it with an engage as well. I'm leaning on there's nothing worth really complaining about. I mean, again, they didn't know how to end the episode, and again, Shatner went out of bounds. He should have been disqualified.
Right. The refs are as crooked as the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean it is fine. So it'll get an engage. I don't think it warrants an illogical. And that does it for today.
If you want to tell us about all of the times that you've participated in blood sports in a way that does not make us legally responsible or complicit, you can leave those comments on YouTube or on Spotify, whichever one you're listening on, and then you can go to the other one and leave the comment in the exact same comment on the other platform, and we would love to see that. You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McG.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Skylar 8-Bit.
And until next time, everybody, let's
see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip.